My name is Gregory Parks, and welcome to CVG and Conlink. Our next guest has eggs in many baskets. Our next guest is a professor, a historian, a media critic, an author, an editor, burlesque dancer, sword enthusiast, winner of Hugo, Aurora, and BFA awards. Please welcome Dame Elsa Sjunneson of the Order of the Bat.
Thank you so much for that lovely introduction. Pleasure.
You're welcome. I was hoping you would find it pleasing. I don't ever want to be on the bad side of somebody with a title. So.
It's funny, you mentioned the swords, and well, they are right there.
I noticed the pommel of one of them, and that's an impressive collection there, and just all really, I also noticed they're well within arm's reach of you, so.
They are. And that's not all of them.
How many swords would you estimate you have in your collection so far?
Let's see, there's 4 in the corner over there, and then I have my saber, which is for fencing.
Is that your favorite type of fencing, or do you just happen to have a saber, and that's the one that you have?
Yeah, that's what I fence. I fence saber. I've been fencing off and on since I was 10 years old. I started doing foil, but saber is really where I belong because I am one of those people.
It does, and fencing kind of does work that way. It's like you find your niche, like whichever one you prefer. Like I gravitated towards épée. I'm tall, I have long limbs, and.
I was about to say, are you a tall person? Because tall people are generally épée people.
So what was it that first drew you to swords? Like was there a specific moment or a specific event that just kind of flipped that switch for you, and you just, all this your interest in swords just blossomed and appeared? So then at what point in your life did writing come in? Did writing come before your interest in swords, or after, or about the same time?
My dad was a writer. So, I mean, I think I've been writing stories down since I was 4 or 5 years old. I don't think there's ever been a time that I wasn't trying to tell stories in some way or another. But it's funny, like, I actually didn't set out to be a professional writer. I went to grad school for a master's in women's history. I was planning to pursue academia. I wanted my doctorate, and as is a theme when you talk to me, ableism got in the way. The academy is not friendly toward blind people, as a general rule. So I ended up not pursuing a PhD, and I was a little bit at loose ends. And I was like, well, I've always wanted to write. Maybe I should just start writing. I did, and it's become my career.
And that continues to drive you to this day, as witnessed by.
Absolutely.
As witnessed by some of your works. You helped with an adaptation, with a module with Fate Core Gaming System to like directly involved with.
Yeah, that was my baby. That was my brainchild. In 2015, I want to say, at Gen Con, I was standing on the street corner with Rob Donahue and Fred Hicks, who were of Evil Hat. They published the Fate Core system. And they asked me, like, why they weren't getting women and disabled people and people of color applying for their writer spots. They wanted to bring in diverse people. They wanted to bring in diverse representation, but they weren't getting the applications. And I was like, well, guys, I'm a disabled writer. I've literally never been brought on to do anything about disability in game design. And frankly, I've just landed on I don't believe I'm ever going to get hired. And they were like, well, what would you pitch us? And I'm like, well, I want to do a game book that's basically like the Fate Core handbook for playing characters who are disabled and telling disabled stories. And they were like, yeah, we'll buy that. Just on a street corner in the middle of Gen Con. And suddenly I was writing a book.
Marvelous. And that's like one of those, yeah, speak up and take a chance moments. Like you had nothing to lose by saying that.
Nothing. I had nothing to lose. It was literally like I was sure they were going to say no. I was like, I have a drink in my hand. They say no. I walk off with my drink. Like, what could possibly go wrong?
And
I mean, what went wrong is that I then had a 5-year project.
And then all of a sudden you have considerably less time than you once had.
Yes.
How is that several years later, like looking back in reflection, has that gone even better than you had imagined? Has it gone just as you imagined?
I mean, I think, there are things that I wish I had done differently. There are disabilities that I wish I had found a way to include, but didn't because it felt more difficult, and it was my first project. I wanted to bring in gamers with intellectual disabilities to have them talk about how they play games and how they interact with game design and how they tell stories, and I couldn't make it happen in time, is the short version. The timelines were too crunched, it didn't happen. So I acknowledge that there are things I wanted to do that I didn't get to, and I think that's really where I am with it, is the project is done, but I can see that, like, if I had the opportunity to do more, I would.
And it seems like there's always, like, even when you're working on a project of, love that you have your heart into, that there's always that chance that there's going to be something that you didn't have time to do or wish you could have done better.
And to some extent, there's always F-ups. There's just, you're always gonna, eventually you do something wrong. Like, I don't think there is such a thing as a perfect project. I think there is a project that you're proud of and is done.
As it said, perfect is the enemy of good.
Yes.
Also, another thing I would like to know, and I think some of our participants and CVG-TV Conlink witnesses might want to know, what are some other ways that you feel that sci-fi and fantasy companies or fandoms have been pursuing this in a constructive and effective way? How do you feel that other companies and properties have been pursuing this inclusion of disability?
I mean, not quickly enough. I feel like disability is always lagging behind. I was really excited that I got to do the Women of Marvel anthology this year, and I got to write Peggy Carter fighting alongside a disabled spy in France during World War II. It was really fun. But I'd love to see a Marvel anthology that's about disabled characters. I would love to see that written by disabled authors and disabled comic artists. I think we're starting to see that, like, come out. We're starting to see YA books by disabled writers about disabilities. We're getting to the point where we're starting to see people including and recognizing, but we're not there yet. It was really gratifying to see Jennifer Crutchmer working on Candlekeep Chronicles, which just came out, and that has a dungeon crawl that's wheelchair accessible in a Dungeons and Dragons book. So things are happening, but I still see us left out. I still see disability used as sort of the earmarker for evil in a lot of the movies that we consume or that we enjoy. And so I guess I would say we're starting the process. That's where we're at right now.
With things like that in mind, and frustrations and the constant, seemingly constant work centered around representation and increasing representation and educating people about representation, what are things that you do for yourself and for your own enjoyment, what are some things that you settle into or pursue that keep you going, that keep that flame alive?
Well, I will say that as we spoke about at the beginning, fencing is great. I fence once a week regularly at my local fencing school. Eric lets me beat him up for 20 minutes with a saber. It's a great stress reliever. I play a lot of video games. I play Assassin's Creed. I'm currently finishing up the Valhalla game, which has been really fun. My partner and I play a lot of board games together, and I'm also a caregiver for his 2 children. So I have a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old who regularly yank me out of my brain world because they would like to go to the park or play with their dolls or chase me around the house like dinosaurs. So I have a pretty active home life that keeps me out of trouble.
Sounds like it helps keep you from getting too far into the zone and then perhaps even getting lost or totally consumed. Gives you some built-in breaks, maybe.
Have you ever tried to get into a Twitter fight when a 3-year-old is asking you to read a picture book to them?
No, I can't say that I have. Like, thinking about that scenario, it seems like a good way to keep somebody from getting too far into arguing with people they don't know on the internet.
Yeah.
That whether they know it or not, that 3-year-old is being a guardian of your calm and of your blood pressure.
The kaiju is doing the Lord's work. And I'm Jewish, but it's just the right price.
the perfect turn of phrase for the perfect situation. Pardon me for backtracking a little bit, but
No, it's fine.
I'm curious about the Agent Carter story. Because I know for many, like myself, our first exposure to Peggy Carter was in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and then the 2 seasons of the series. So where, are you able to tell us where your piece falls into that or fits into that?
I can. Wait, the story is out, so you can actually find it in the comic bookstore of your choosing. It's the Women of Marvel #1 comic. And the story takes place in Vichy, France in 1942. I would have to actually look at the comic to remember. It's been a couple months. But basically, it is about what happens when Peggy Carter is actually Captain America. And she gets sent in to pick up a spy who is being hunted by the Gestapo and needs to be evacuated. And the spy does not want to go. So the setting is actually from Saladin Ahmed's Captain America run, which was Peggy Carter's Captain America. We basically ganked it from that specific setting. And I had a blast. Getting to write Peggy Carter as Captain America running around and punching Nazis, it's my idea of a good time.
Oh man, that must have been, that sounds like a dream project.
It was great. My editor was really fun to work with too, and she was having fun watching me basically just be like, can I put in this snarky disability comment? Can I put in this snarky disability comment? And she was like, yes, have fun.
When you attend cons, what is your favorite part of cons?
So there's the fan-friendly version, and then there's the pro version. The fan-friendly version is I really do love meeting people. I love getting to meet fans and getting to talk to them, and a lot of disabled fans come and talk to me about just what it's been like to be in the community and to have representation. And that's really important to me. So hearing from people who actually want to talk about what their experiences in fandom is great. But as a professional, cons are often the only time I get to see my coworkers. So BarCon makes me really happy because I actually get to talk to my fellow authors and hang out with people I usually just see on Twitter. Like, I don't get to see a lot of my coworkers because I don't work in an office. I work in my office, but my office is by myself in my house. It is not, with other people. And so getting to hang out with other writers and creators and talk is a gift. And it's something that we really only at conventions when we're all together in the same place. Also, when I say fans, I don't mean fans of me. I just mean fans of genre in general.
You do a lot of things. As I said in the introduction, you have many eggs in many baskets. And I'm wondering, were there any new skills or hobbies that you picked up earlier on since the beginning of the pandemic? And if so, what were they?
I've always been a baker, but I definitely became one of the pandemic bakers of 2020. I have perfected the art of the French baguette in a home oven. I'm very pleased with myself.
Nice.
I do have scars to prove it, though. I have steam burn. I had a oven, like the rack pop out and burn me on the elbow. Baking is definitely not like a gentle thing to have fallen into. But it is tasty. I'm deaf, and I do not know sign language, or at least I didn't before March of 2020. One of the things that I have done is started taking ASL classes over the internet, and my tutor got vaccinated, and so I've been taking classes with her, and my partner has actually been learning with me. And I've set up Zoom conversations with my friends who speak ASL to keep learning and practicing. And so that has been the other thing I've learned, is I've actually learned my language, which has been really empowering. And I'm not near close to fluent, not even a little bit, but you will see me running around with interpreters this weekend, in part because I need interpreters now. With masks and plexiglass windows, I can't hear people very well anymore. And so this is me learning a new language to survive in a new world. It's been really empowering. I've definitely been a little bit sad that I didn't have it before, but I learned a new language, and it's definitely been a good thing for me.
And to that end, I feel that science fiction and fantasy genre work provides a magnificent arena for that, and a magnificent arena for commentary and representation and change, as it's pretty much always been since the beginning. There are people who grouse about genre being too political or too, or too outspoken. It's like, it was that since the beginning. Genre fiction, science fiction and fantasy has always had some sort of statement.
We have always had opinions in this castle. Like Shirley Jackson's work, lots of opinions. I'm sorry, does Frankenstein not have opinions? This genre is about rebuilding worlds. It is about shaping the way that we think about our futures. How could it not be inherently political by virtue of who you put in the future and who you put in the past and who you build into new places that we've never been?
So often we learn the power of unity, the power of that each person has when somebody has been told that they don't have any power. Like, those stories are so rich in genre fiction, and it's I appreciate this chance to speak with you and interview you, and thank you for sharing your experiences, your stories, and your specific voice and contribution to that rich history of genre.
Absolutely. This is where I live and work. I'm always happy to talk about it.
You will be able to pre-order copies of Elsa's new book, forthcoming book, scheduled October 2021, titled Being Seen, One Deafblind Woman's Fight to End Ableism. Is that still, they will still be able to pre-order your book at the convention? Is that so?
Yes, you can come up to me at my signing table. I will have my handy little iPad, and you'll be able to place pre-orders through Elliott Bay Books, where I will be signing copies in October.
Beautiful. Well, thank you for joining us this afternoon. Thank you for sharing some time with us. And I'd also like to extend a thank you to Elsa's interpreters, B. Carter and Nikki Peters, who have been helping facilitate this exchange. I thank you for speaking with us today, Elsa, and we look forward to seeing you at Convergence.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
See everybody there.
I'm Gregory Parks. Yeah, we will see you there. I'm Gregory Parks. Thank you for joining us. You have been part of ConLink.